And here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Online. We have a very special guest back in the room. Seems to come around once a year, like Santa Claus. We have with us in the room Brian K. Moore, or better known as Kenny Moore, all the way live from Dallas. Kenny, how are we doing?
You always get that wrong. I'm good.
I was going to help if I turn your volume up. Good. Greetings. Great to have you back in the room again. How are things with you?
Everything is great. Life is good. I have no complaints.
Fantastic. For people who don't know who you are, this man on the screen, who are you? Can you let people know who you are?
Brian Kenneth Moore, as I've said so many times on this show, I'm the former manager of Beyonce, Kelly, and the girls from Destiny Child, and during the early years of them being with Girls Time as well. And I've been in technology after I left the music industry back in '87. Was in technology some 20-something years, and just kind of come back now to mix my two loves, technology and music.
Fantastic, fantastic. Also, the author of the book, The Making of a Child of Destiny. Am I correct?
Yes, I did forget that, didn't I? Oh, yeah, I authored the book, The Making of the Child of Destiny, the Andretta Tillman story, which is basically the story of the creation of Destiny Child through the Girls' Time years and the mastermind behind it, Miss Andretta Tillman. So the book tells the story of the struggles and the victories that we went through over like a 9-year period from 1989 through, 89 through 97, after Andretta died, after the girls' first album. So it just tells the story behind the scene and the good and the bad and the uglies.
One of the things that I've constantly spoken to you about, or people always ask me about, is the music industry and artists not being able to express themselves fully, or artists signing certain contracts which doesn't allow them to be free. We've talked about this over and over and over again, which leads us into why we're on the chat, why you're on the channel, back on the channel again, talking about some amazing news. Talk to us a bit about that and some of the struggles artists do find when they sign these contracts.
Well, when I did, I left the technology realm and decided to get back into the music realm. First thing, of course, was I was approached to do the management piece and everything. And through my research and some partnerships with some of the old team and the other people that I knew, you really found that with the new technology that the music industry, you would think that they had changed from it being more of an upside down pyramid where everybody got paid, then the artist got paid. But it hasn't changed. So basically what happened is where you had physical CDs, you had physical distribution and things of that nature. Now that it's digital, you would think that the artist would make more revenue because it's just one simple upload and nobody is physically creating anything. But through through going back and finding and through studying the industry, that's not the case. So what we did was kind of took the old model that we had in the creation of Girls' Time and Destiny Child and said, okay, how would we do it now with technology? And so I was able to assemble a team of highly skilled technology people and to build out a management type platform. Thus, we came up with Dousic, the platform. So, and it's basically a platform in which the artist has total control. We're just a platform. We try to, through our partnerships with different entities, we try to return as much revenue to the artist as possible. Now, if they decide that they want to go out and sign contracts, management, or any other type of contract, that's on them. But we like to be that we're going to be that first place for them to have a safe haven and a platform to hone their skills. And then once they go from there, if they decide that a record label or something else like that is what they need to do, then it's more power to them.
What would you advise an artist that would look at these shows, maybe Britain's Got Talent, The X Factor, Pop Idol, The Voice? What would you advise artists to do? Would you suggest that they go on these shows, or would you suggest for them to try and stay as independent as possible?
Well, and that's a great question, because, when you go on these shows, it's not free. They're going to get you on the show, and they're going to have control for, almost 5 years of your career. So even though you're on there, they're going to have, you may get a hit song, they're going to control most of the revenue. They're going to control where you can go, where you're going to perform, and everything like that. So you lose your independence in hopes to get with somebody to push your career along. But if you don't have a machine behind you or a marketing team ready to go and push you, and especially now on social media, you're just another person that appeared on the screen. I mean, if I could ask you right now, tell me who was the winner of The Voice last year. Obviously, you probably couldn't tell me off the top of your head, because it's so many shows. You got to understand, this has been going on, American Idol, almost 20-something years. So you have so many winners, and there are very few, Carrie Underwood, Fantasia, and people like that, and Kelly Clarkson, that are household names now. But look at all the thousands that never made it, and nobody even know who they are.
Now, I heard of one particular big show. Can't say who the company are, obviously, don't want to get lots of trouble. But their contract worked like this. When they went to this organization, it's a TV show, they went to the organization said to them, any music they did previously, before they came on the show, they owned. Any music that they currently, they owned. And anything they did in the future, they owned. They also said they own their social media, so they can't go on social media unless they're given permission to go on social media. They can't do interviews unless they're given permission by the record label. They can do interviews. They cannot attend. They cannot sing or perform anywhere else unless it's in the contract. So they can't go and sing at a friend's birthday party, or that can't be done. They are basically, and they give all that over to appear on these shows. That isn't that modern day slavery?
It's slavery, robbery. I mean, you call it what you want. I mean, and that's why, like I say, we felt we had a niche with creating Dousic, is because these artists are basically for you. You're selling out for upfront money to say, okay, hey, give me a shot, but they own everything. And if you're giving away your copyrights, your brand, you're giving everything, you don't have anything. And then, 10 years from now, when you're obsolete and nobody remembers you, that's the reason they can shelve all these artists, because you're signing a contract in the hope to become the next Kelly Clarkson and things of that nature. Those are rare and in between. So, the artists need to realize that right now, with the digital world being what it is, they have the greatest control of their career that they will ever have. And if they don't sit down and take the time to invest in themselves, they'll never have successful careers. One thing that I've learned, even talking to a lot of partners and talking to a lot of distributors, their whole thing is like, well, hey, if you're going to have a platform in which the artists can generate their own money, what's in it for us? Well, I'm like, well, all you are supposed to be is a distributor. So why should you turn around and take 10% of what they make streaming, or turn around, you distribute it to Apple and Google and Spotify, they take 30% for downloads. So an artist, you're losing money just because you're not taking the time to sit down and do your work. You have to put some work in as an artist now. But if you do, it's the greatest time to make as much money as you want. And I'll use Old Town Road as an example. He spent $30 for that track that some producer said, okay, hey, you can have. Well, now he's had number one hit for 18 weeks. So he's making money hand over fist. But still, those, the downloads and the streaming platforms, they're making money as well off of it.
Somebody's asking a question: who was signing contracts like that? Now, the people that go on these talent shows, they go through the doors with the idea of wanting to be on the TV, on screen, on TV, be a part of that, getting through to each round. But it seems that they're not aware of what they're signing until the door closes behind them. Then they understand what the contract is. By then, they've signed a confidentiality form. Am I correct on that?
Yes, but and that's the thing that hurts, to have returned back to the music industry and see the one thing that we were all about. We're trying to get the artists the best contracts, they get the best deals for them, and to see that even though technology changed, it should have freed up all these artists to be able to have more control, even though, you have some that are YouTube sensations and things of that nature. But the money that they could generate, they're not generating because, you're getting paid pennies on a dollar for your creative craft. And that's the hard thing. That was the hard thing for me to see, was that these artists are just being raped, and they freely, they go create mixtapes to just say, okay, hey, listen to my music so somebody will like it. And if you like it, then they're going to come and sign me, and they're going to sign me and basically rape me for my craft, for the creation that God gave me. And that's the sad part. That's the real sad part, is that, these people, artists, are not willing to take the time, which now is the time, to just sit down and take a step back and invest in yourself and invest in time. Put the proper people around you that want you to succeed and that wants to watch your money.
But is that not because of a lack of education, Kenny?
Well, listen, there are two types of education. I could tell you I'm educated, and if we go to the street and you get hit in the head, I can say, hey, I'm street educated because I knew you was finna get hit in the head because you didn't know what I knew. But then there's proper, then there's school education. Then there's knowing the, music industry. It is an industry that is set up, entertainment, period. It's an industry that's set up to basically rape you or to take advantage of you. And if you don't put proper things in place to where you can't be taken advantage of, it's going to happen. So now what we're saying from Dousic perspective is, hey, here's a platform for you to go register, control all of your brand, everything. You control what gets out there, you get what's going on the radio and things of that nature. And we're just here to support you. We charge unlike Apple, we don't charge a download rate where if you sold $1,000 on Apple or Google platform, you would make $7,000 of that $1,000. If you sold it on Dousic, you'd make $980 because we only charge $20 a month, regardless how much money you accumulate. It's just to support the platform and keep the platform there for you to continue doing what you're doing as an artist.
So let's talk a bit more about now Dousic, because we've kind of given the backstory and the reasons why we talk about giving the power back to independent artists. Now, the name Dousic, where does it come from?
Well, Dousic is it's basically mean do your music, is do you sick. It originally, it came from a group called Brick back in the 70s. And they had a song called Do Fun Music. And that's where the name came from. I added the O to basically say do you. And the sick can be modeling, can be music, anything that's creative. It can be ministry. You can sell sermons. It's just a digital media platform for you to take your craft and sell it directly to your public and submit it for radio airplay, as we are a radio aggregator as well, radio directory. We have streaming platform, and we pay the highest streaming rate in the industry, and will match anybody's rate. So right now, if you're on Spotify and things like that. It takes about 200,000 streams to make the bare minimum, the 1,500 that the industry requires for payout. And ours is, we say 75,000 streams. So if people always ask, well, why should I leave Spotify and go to music? Well, you get paid a lot more. You can always use Spotify platform. We're not saying don't use the other platforms. We're saying here's an alternative, and we're going to give you total control.
So the alternative. So they would say, all right, but Spotify is more well known. So if I go with Spotify, I'm paying because it's more well known. I'm more likely to be a hit because I'm on Spotify rather than being on Dousic. What's your response to that?
Well, my response to that is very simple. Okay, your social media following is your social media following. Whether you're on Spotify, you're on iTunes, the people that are following you and that like the music that you have and that are your followers, they're going to follow you wherever you tell them to go. So imagine if I have 50,000 followers and I simply say, well, hey, I'm on the Dousic platform. They don't care where my music's being played. They're going to go and listen. And if I'm making more money over here, that's where I say the artists have to do some work. You have to go and reach out to your social media following and empower them to empower you. So yeah, there is some work. So you just simply tell them, okay, I get paid more over here. And if they want to support you, they're going to go listen there. If they like Spotify, they'll listen over there. But the artists will see the difference in the monthly payments.
So money, obviously getting paid more money is a good thing, obviously for the artists. They've got the freedom. What about awareness? Who's going to see their music? If I put it on Dousic, I put my expression on Dousic, who's going to see it? What sort of people are we going up to? For example,
Dousic is a global platform. I mean, we're not isolated by any country boundaries or whatever. Like our radio stations are heard all around the world. Our streaming platforms heard all around the world. So it's giving you the opportunity to have a fan base all around the world. There's no limitation. And the beautiful thing about the other thing about us, because we're streaming and it's a discovery platform, somebody may come on Dousic to hear another artist. Then while they're streaming, they hear you. Now you created a new fan. The other thing is we are being a radio aggregator and a radio directory. Now we're able to tell these stations that are on our platform, say, hey, we accept you on our platform to expand your reach, but in return, we want to be able to submit to you these artists that probably would never get a chance to get submitted to your radio station. We submit it in their genre, and we sit, we kind of become like an A&R for the artists, where we send the radio stations, they screen it, and then if they accept it, we turn around, tell these artists, and say, okay, hey, this station has accepted you. Now imagine this. This is a station in London, that one station that says, we'll accept Ingram music. You're the artist. Then in turn, Ingram goes and say, okay, hey, I got a notification that this radio station is going to play my song. Now you have a social media following. I just like to use 100,000, 50,000. You have 50,000 followers. You turn around and say, hey, if you listen to this station on Dousic, go listen to the station on Dousic and request my song. The radio station will have no alternative but to play your music, because now they have a high demand. Now you're using your creative audience to now push your song. You're in control, instead of you depending on a record label saying, I hope they call this radio station and get them to play my song. You're in control. So that's how we're changing the game. We're making the artists have total control, access to all these different radio stations. We have it to where we're even interactive, unlike TuneIn and things like that. You can actually go on the Dousic platform and be listening to a song or a radio station, and you, as a fan, you can say, well, hey, I want to hear this song. You can request that song directly to that radio station anywhere in the world. No other platforms do that. Then in return, if I'm an artist and I like this station and I want to get on this station, I can take my song and submit it directly to that radio station and say, hey, will you play my song? Now, the question was from the radio station, well, how do we make money? Well, the way they make money is that they can say, from this request, we charge $10. We don't let them charge these crazy $99 for an artist to submit their song. You know, maybe they charge $10, $15 just processing fee to screen the song. Well, the artist pays that $15 directly to the radio station. Now, the radio station is paid. They come back to the artist and say, okay, hey, we'll accept it or we won't. Go back. Now they're critiqued. So we got interaction between the radio station and the artist. So that's the whole thing, is to empower the artist to where they're working to push their careers. And now they have direct contact to sources that can help them expand and reach bigger audience.
How do you ensure that nobody goes around you? So like they get the certain radio stations and they go directly to radio stations and then kind of leave the middleman out the way and go directly to the radio stations and put Dousic out. How do you ensure that doesn't happen?
Well, I like I say, if you just choose as an artist to go outside the platform, that's fine. Because these same radio stations that we may have negotiated a deal with, that because we have so many artists, we only want you to charge this rate to be on our platform, to where you pay $10, $15 on our platform. Well, you may go to this same station and they might have a $200 fee for a submission. So yeah, you can go outside the loop. You can go outside the loop, but you pay for you know.
Absolutely.
You pay being independent. So we look at it as doing it by numbers, because we have the masses, and that these stations and they have genres, and if we can submit, you know, bulk artists to them, you know, say 10 a week, so now they're generating a small amount of money, but now they can screen it. But if somebody, you know, you're getting a one-off, yeah, they're going to charge that $259 or whatever, and may have side contracts and things of that nature. If you have a hit, well, I'll play it, but we need to get a percentage of it. So you open yourself back up to that type of platform.
Absolutely. It sounds absolutely fantastic. So how do people know more about Dousic? What do they have to do? And what's the criteria for someone who wants to get on the Dousic platform?
The only criteria is that if you have original creative content, and just like you're submitting it on SoundCloud, to iTunes, to Spotify, it's the same thing. We're just a different alternative, that we do things differently than the present entity. We're not here to rob you. We're here to help you generate revenue so you can have a career. You know, so you can go back to the studios and create new music and things like that, and you're properly paid for a God-given gift. That, I mean, me working with Beyonce and the girls and Destiny Child years ago, it wasn't about me. They were the creators and had the gifts and the talent. It would be crazy for me to now sit and be, you know, hell of a rich, you know, off of their talent. We never saw it like that. You know, they are the people that God has given the gift to. We just want to be here to support. And just like we supported them in their career, we have created a platform to help support these artists, any independent artist in their career.
Let me give you a situation. Destiny's Child in 2019. Let's put you back as the manager of Destiny's Child of Jessica Tillman. Let's put you back then with Dousic now. How does that work?
Well, back then it was different. So Dousic now is really no different than the original plan that we had. We had multiple groups. It was not just Destiny Child. We had multiple acts. And our whole thing was to build a stable for the Houston whole market, the entire Houston market, and to give everybody in the Houston market the same platform, the same backing, and the same type of support. So Dousic wouldn't have been no different back then than it is now. In fact, like I say, it is the same management theories and the backing that we had then. We just added technology to it.
Right.
You know, like now, if you try to upload a song on the Dousic platform and it's not copywritten, well, you know, if you don't check that box, it's going to say, hey, this song is not copywritten, you can't upload it. But we don't stop there. We turn around and then go say, okay, hey, Here's the copyright office. Would you like to copyright the song right now? So we give them the option because it's there to instantly copyright the song. And once that process is done, we stamp it and say, okay, hey, you filed a copyright. Now your song can be uploaded. So we're here to protect the artists, and subliminally, even though they don't know it, we're teaching them how to manage themselves. Another thing we do, because we have it's a fully functional social media platform to where, you can make video calls, you can make audio calls, you can call your fans, you can have broadcasts to where you may want to, as an artist, I just want to check these songs out, and you might want to select fans that you just want to hear, some sample songs before you release them. We open up all of that. And the other thing is because we have real-time transactions. So if you buy my song, Ingram, on iTunes or somewhere, the song is bought. That's it. Then you have to wait until all the calculations happen. We have real-time notification to where on the platform, if you go buy my song, I get a message, or whoever was part of the ownership of that song, we get a message saying Ingram bought this song. And in return, we encourage you to go or to turn around and say, if Ingram bought it, then it's on me to go say, hey, I'm going to send a direct message to my fan Ingram and say, hey, thank you for purchasing the song. Hey, I got some things coming up. So now it's forcing the artist to create a direct relationship with his fan. Wow. So that's all fan want is fan loyalty. And so we subliminally have placed all these aids in there just to assist the artists, where they really know that it's there, but hey, have you sent a notification? We're sending those things, doing things like that. Instead of just loading your music, uploading your music in one place to where it sits and you hoping somebody goes by and discovers it. We're more interactive, and we're going to push you.
Do you think you need to have a big success that's independent via the Dousic way and Dousic music, for Dousic to get the sort of recognition that a Spotify would get? Because sometimes people need something, a blueprint, somebody who's done it and gone through the system and been successful from it, to then turn around and say, you know what, we're going to do this on the masses.
Right. Well, I mean, all of the streaming and radio platforms have had success, and to where they were able to get a artist out there and make money through Spotify or SoundCloud or whatever. Yes, I mean, but that's why we're here. We're gonna be successful. That's no question.
Of course.
Because we already have artists that have bought into the Dousic platform and are offering to do exclusive releases on Dousic and things of that nature. So we're getting the buy-in, and we're hearing some incredible music right now. It's just we're building, and we're just inviting these artists to come aboard. And you're going to have those that's going to come early that are going to be a lot more successful, because we'll be more open to given more free times and things of that nature. Then you'll have those that'll come later on. But it's just part of the platform or the process. But you have to realize, it's just simply you do what you're doing. But artists have to make a decision. Am I going to take control of my career, or am I just going to continue with the status quo? And if they're happy with the status quo, we have no problem. We launched Dousic on March 8th this year at South by Southwest. And every entity there pretty much was like, how bold is it of you to come to South by Southwest and offer a platform like this when you have Spotify, you have Apple, and all these other companies that are right here in the facility? And my whole selling point to them was, hey, we offer total control. If they're happy getting what they're getting, stay. We're just another alternative.
Would you not be messing up another man's business by doing this, as they say?
Well, here's the thing. Another man, yeah. I had a lot of managers and people like that. I was cursed out a couple times at South by Southwest now. It wasn't like we went in and everybody was, hey, welcome to the party. It wasn't like that.
I would have
It
thought.
was strictly, it was strictly a case of like, well, hey, well, how am I going to get paid? Well, that's on the artist. You know, I mean, if the first thing a manager asks me is, how do I get paid? Well, that's on the artist. And if it's not on the artist, then that tells me right away that this manager is robbing the artist. Because the artist should have full discretion to say, okay, hey, I'm going to give you 10, 20% of what I make, but I'm going to know what's generated. I'm going to know that we made $200. And of that, you will receive your quota. But not when the manager is in total control and he's telling you what you're receiving. You know, and that's the way the industry is set up with the digital technology. Everybody's telling you what you're making. You know, nobody is saying, okay, hey, here's your money. You split, you do what you want to and give it to who you want to. You know, everybody, just think, you got all these distributors. Oh, I'll send your music to 200 platforms. But guess what? What the artists don't know is that distributor, once all those platforms go and say what money you made streaming or on sales, it goes back to that distributor. Now, so you're trusting parties to say, okay, hey, downstream, you only raise this much money. And then in return, I'm going to send it to somebody else and they're going to give it to you. Then in return, you probably got a manager that set up all that. So then now you're getting paid third, three, and fourth time. So it's no different in the old music industry. Dousic is a platform where you upload your music. You see every transaction. We track streaming. Every time somebody streams your song, you know how many times your song been streamed. Every time somebody downloads your song, you know you have a sale. That's the difference in Dousic. We don't have third party. You don't go through TuneCore and all these other distributors that tell you, okay, hey, pay me $50 now and I'll track your money. You can trust me.
You can trust me. Famous last saying.
That's what you're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Trust me. And this is somebody you don't even know.
Absolutely. This is fantastic stuff, Kenny. Question. I've asked many tonight, but so what is your hope, short term, medium term, and long term with Dousic?
Short term is, you know, we're on a very fast pace. I mean, since our launch at South by Southwest, you know, we have over roughly about 20,000 people that have signed on, and you're talking within, you know, month or two. And we've made great partnerships, and we're getting, you know, entities or powers that be to buy into what we're doing. So the short term is looking very positive. I mean, you know, I'm not at liberty to discuss, you know, some of the partnerships that we're collaborating with and things of that nature, but we make giant steps. You know, the other thing is that in the near future, you know, we'll break some artists that that we have on the platform, and others that will come, you know, possibly from this interview and other things that will, you know, give the Dousic a shot, and you know, and we'll show the process. You know, as more radio stations sign on, as more artists sign on, and the streaming going on, all that will collaborate. And then as well, you know, we have it to where models, instead of just being an Instagram model, you can upload your photo, and now we watermark it. And instead of everybody going to see that photo on Instagram, now you can sell that. Okay, if you want to see the photo without the watermark, here, buy it. So we're trying to empower. If it's digital media, we're giving the power back to the creators. You know, we don't track and we don't care anything about your all your information and all those different things. We're just strictly a platform that's going to give you the place to sell and distribute your digital as well, and then we'll eventually become physical media as well.
So let me ask you a question. So I know you talked about the music side of things. Now, what about, you talked about sermons? Does this also include podcasts?
Yes, podcasts, because like I say, you know, we're podcasts are coming as well as radio stations. I mean, we're talking with different entities daily. And I mean, the platform can support podcasts, will support radio, as well as, like I say, streaming. It's just a place where all these people, I mean, you like even your podcast or radio, you would be on the platform, but you control your advertisers. I mean, we're just the platform that's going to be the vehicle to get you out there. So if your advertisers are paying you what they're paying you, radio stations, we don't get involved in that. That's on you.
So talk me through it. Let's use a virtual situation. BWTM decides to do a boxing show once a week, or once a week, once a week on the latest boxing news with different interviews and stuff. And they decide to do a podcast on Dousic. How's that process work? I sign up, I get membership. So I've become a member. Talk me through what happens.
Right. And basically, you do the same thing. It's no different than you would do on YouTube as far as uploading the podcast and broadcasting, or you could broadcast it live through our Dousic connection.
And then how?
So I mean, we actually have video calls, live broadcasts. All that is within our social platform. I mean, literally, this call we're having now, we could have on Dousic, but you wanted it on Google.
I opened the door for you there.
Yes, so, but we're Google is fine, and eventually this is going to. So Google is going.
Go ahead.
Hangout is supposed to be going away soon, so we'll be there to pick up the slack.
So Hangout on air is being discontinued on August the 1st. So basically, today's the last day of Google Hangout. So what a great time to bring you on.
Well, God works in mysterious ways. And, hey, we're there. I mean, if you want to use it, it's there. It's ready. It's available. Dousic.com. We have the apps on. We have the super apps, which is on the Samsung, the Android, and then we have a web app, which is on Dousic platform. Then we have 2 scaled down versions on iTunes. I mean, on Apple and on Google. As like I say, we scale them down, scale them back because we want to be able to give the artist as much control and as much return on their revenue. So we did it that way because until we can work out some better situations.
So in terms of the advertisement, this is what I want to understand. BWTM at the moment has got its own partners for the YouTube. So we use some partnerships there, which give us some good rates. Now, how does that work with Dousic? So I upload the video. Do I choose the partners or the advertisements, or do the advertisements choose us? How does that work?
Well, it works both ways because Dousic, we already have advertisers that are built into our platforms. So, the pop-ups and different things are already built into the Dousic platform. Anything that is done directly through your platform or your direct, the advertisers you bring along, that's all on the revenue that you generate. But in return of the podcast, we also pay you streaming, the rate for being on Dousic.
Okay. Can you disclose that, or is that just for members only to know?
I mean, it don't matter. I mean, the streaming rate, or what?
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know Dousic, so you're telling me about Dousic. I'm just trying to find out.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just so there's a streaming rate that is, of course, higher than what you paid on YouTube. So we have that rate that is paid based off of your stream and followers and things of that nature. So you have that, but if you have personal within your broadcast, you have internal advertisers, then that revenue, of course, is generated through your signal, and we don't interrupt your signal.
Fantastic. This is great stuff. Kenny, just before you go, it would be naive of me not to talk about Destiny's Child with you. Before I go,
Okay.
the website as to how to get to Dousic.
Okay, so if you on the website, it's just simply Dousic.com, DOUSIC.com, or you can go to the Galaxy Store and it's Dousic Music. Just type DOUSIC in the Galaxy Store on Android, or you can go to Dousic.com/app/install, and that is our web app in which you would be able to install the app on any type phone, whether it's Apple or Android. And then, of course, we have the app available in the Apple and Google Store, the scaled down versions of the app.
Fantastic. Okay, so 20 years until back to Destiny's Child. 20 years since writing on the wall. Am I correct?
Writing on the wall, yes.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, it's not much to talk about. I mean, that was the second album, and at that time, I had Andretta Tillman had passed, and I had vacated my position with Destiny Child. But some of the music we heard earlier around the first album as well. But this was the last album that the girls dedicated to Andretta. I think this was Amazing Grace song was dedicated. And so it was, I felt it was just a great thing that they did, that they still, even on the second album, remembered her and felt they needed to acknowledge her. So.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Great stuff. The book, The Making of a Child of Destiny, then Andretta Tillman's story. Give us three reasons why people need to read this book that you haven't given us already.
Well, the simple thing is that I often get from people is like, I always knew there was something behind the scene. I always knew something else happened. The story just was too clean. Basically, the reason you read this book is it will tell you and show you how to create the greatest, I guess, the greatest artist of our era was created. And I don't shortchange any of the girls, Kelly or Tamar or Nikki, Nina, or even Latoya, or any of them. But it shows how a woman had a dream and she was able to, through the money that she got from the death of her husband and her daughter, was able to then find the talent and recognize the talent that was there and put together a team to make all of this happen. I mean, without Andretta Tillman, I don't want to rehash the whole story, but without Andretta Tillman's story, there's no Beyonce, there's no Destiny Child. I mean, because the funding as well as the insight that the lady had as far as a gift to just recognize talent. Mind you, I know talent pretty good, so I thought. But, you're talking 11, 12-year-old girls, and, to have the insight that they would be what they turned out to be, I didn't see it. Now, mind you, I love Beyonce, hanging out with, the girls and Kelly and all of them. And they were just great kids, and it was a great time. And their work ethic was incredible. So that, that's the reason I don't manage now, because when, most people say, hey, will you come and manage me now? I always relate it back to them, because I'm like, well, you don't have this work ethic. I'm not finna waste my time. Then people are like, artists be like, oh, I work hard. I'm like, no, do you realize what these kids went through? And so that's the greatest thing that the story tells. It tells the struggle. B's not there just because B, as the world believes that, oh, she came, Matthew and Tina decide they wanted to support their daughter. They did want to support their daughter, but there was a lot of things that went behind the scenes. And there was a lot of tenacity that all those girls had to become what they wanted to be. I mean, I can't name one that didn't believe that they were going to be successful. None of them. None of the groups we had. I mean, you're talking 20-something years ago, and all of them are still doing the same thing, minus Nikki and Nina that are school teachers and with master degrees and things like that. But everybody else is still in the entertainment business. Even the old group, Flodge, Kathy Taylor. I mean, so we were on just something great, and we did something great. So, I mean, the reason to read the book, hey, if you want to know what it takes, to be successful in the music industry, that is the book to read. Now, if you want the sugar-coated, versions, there are plenty of other books out there that I even participated in, and I didn't write mine to be scandalous. Now, since my book, and you and I have discussed, there's other books that have come out that want to embarrass or humiliate the nose, and it never was about that for me. It was always about just telling Andretta's piece. And as I say, I told you last time, Tina is, I still think she's one of the, I love Tina. I mean, Matthew is a great guy, but there were some things that happened that you don't agree with. It don't mean that that you're gonna hate these people or you don't. They're bad people. There was a lot of things that were done to protect Beyonce, protect the legacy, and people had to grab the hand. And then me, as far as I'm concerned, I had to make a decision to say, okay, hey, I had a young family. I had a young family. Tina and Matthew were 10 years older than I am. So I had to make a decision, do I stay and see what's happening with them and lose my family, chasing a dream, or to help them pursue a dream? Or do I pump the brakes and regain myself? And that's what I ended up doing. And 20 years later, God, I can't complain. I'm highly blessed and favored. I don't, there's, I'm proud of all my girls. And like you often ask me about the greatest performance of all time. And I wanted to go back. And after I saw B at Coachella, what? After B at Coachella, it was like, I was like, hey, she's there. Now I love Michael, and I used to go to all Prince concerts, so you know how I felt about that. But she's right. You got to put her in there. You got to put her in there with that one. But as I say,
what about Whitney? What about Whitney?
As I told you last time, if I'm going to hear impeccable singing, I'm going to hear Whitney, the Anita Bakers, Gladys. We just saw Gladys recently, Luther. If I'm going to a show, I'm going to see Beyonce, Prince, and Michael.
Right.
And add Tina Turner in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And add Tina in there. But I mean, that's who you're going to see.
They're entertainers. They're singers and there's entertainers. And Beyonce.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, she has transcended. I mean, I love B and I loved all the girls, but me and B had a special relationship because when we used to travel back and forth to California, I used to have to, kind of be the bodyguard and fly with her, and because Matthew and Tina wouldn't travel a lot, so it would be me and Ann, or I'd had to go escort her. So to see what she's become now, and from that little humble thing that used to sit in the recording booth, it's crazy. But one thing I did see at the Coachella, I saw the brilliance that was in the little girl even back then. Just her explaining what she wanted to see and everything. It was the same way she used to be. I mean, they would be on stage. Oh, Miss Ann, can we do this? What about this? They'd be choreographing all the dances and everything. So that's the reason you go back and get the book. And like I said, we have some other, I kind of left that alone and let the Andrea Tillman estate move on as her son Amon is doing things, and there's some other theatrical events coming, as well as possible release of the first album that the estate owns. They're looking at it was, I think it was like 10 songs that they had that never been released. There are a couple of songs that's out there, but the estate is looking at releasing that, and so it'll be some more things coming down the pike. But I'm trying to just like segue myself away, and that was our run, that was our greatness, and I just happened to be a part of something that turned out great. But it was a great time, and like I say, life is good now, and it's still great.
I know you want to move on, but the thing is, it's greatness that you're attached to, and that greatness is still around. So whenever that greatness comes, your name will be mentioned.
Well, hey, now mind you, now I do still have my Kenny Moore moments. Now, a lot of times, you're around a lot. I have a cousin who's, I won't call their names, but he's very well connected in the music industry. So, when the talk started to come and everything, and people, it's like, well, I know about this and everything. And then I'm sitting there, you're trying to not to get involved. And I'm like, hey, you do know I helped create Beyonce. So whoever you talking about don't measure up. So, after a couple of, little things, I may, jug where I need to. It's like being a great coach. It's like being a coach, that, Jerry Rice was, your little league ball player. No matter what nobody else say, you always, hey, you do know who I am, right?
I am. You know what I'm telling you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Eddie, as always, it's a pleasure talking with you. Do you have any any parting points or things you want to let people know before you go?
No, I mean, like I say, the Dousic platform is there. We're steady growing, and if you're not on there now, if you're an artist or a minister, or because that's one thing you mentioned sermons earlier, was that my father and I was raised in a family of preachers, so my whole thing was like, how can you recreate the sermons? They used to sell tapes and CDs. So what we did was we created the platform to also where ministers can, not only go live, but they can upload those audios and sell them, directly through the platform. So, there's no need to go and press the CDs anymore at the back of the church. You just take the, recording and just upload it to the profile page. So, that was something that was more personal to me, to make sure that was added in there. So we did that as well. So we do a little bit of everything. So just letting them know we're here. We're not going anywhere, and we're on the move. So be on the lookout.
Absolutely, as always, Kenny Moore, a pleasure. Thank you for introducing us to the Dousic world and Dousic music, and I'm sure that you'll see us on Dousic music very soon.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get you on there.
As always, Kenny Moore, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being on BWTM. I know you're busy. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Ingram. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. There we have it. That's the end of our show tonight on BWTM Online. We had the great Kenny Moore on the show talking about Dousic music. Don't forget to check it out. The links are in the description box about the Dousic music. So as you click in this video, look down the bottom, the description box is there, and it's got all the information about Dousic. Get to the website and become a member. This is it from BWTM. We are out. Have a great evening, a great morning, a great afternoon, or wherever you are in the world. Take care.